Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from middle world heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, middle world herbs.
Hello and welcome to the Middle World Herbs Natural Wellbeing Series, where we talk about restoring and maintaining your health in safe and natural ways while incorporating both the physical and emotional sides of healing. Today's episode is dedicated to Cleanse and Detox, which is top of mind for many of us, especially as we're starting a new year and after a couple months of indulging. I'll be joined by an expert on this topic, and I have a lot of great questions ready. My goal is for you to know more about the role of kidneys and your liver in detox and why we even should detox, how often, what foods and herbs help, and perhaps the biggest question of all, what are they actually doing that's so helpful to our body? So that's what I want to get answered for us. Plus, we have a giveaway. We're going to be giving away a supplement and some exclusive deals that are only good during the live show, which we do our lives twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My name is Deanne, and I am your host today. I am here with our special guest, Dr. Jackie Leone, a naturopathic medicine doctor, medical doctor, board-certified holistic nutritionist, and a psychology enthusiast. Dr. Jackie,
Hello.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on today's Cleanse and Detox episode of our Natural Wellbeing Series. We are so excited to have you here. So, Dr.
I'm so
Jackie,
excited
would
to
you
be
mind
here.
Yay! Would you mind just briefly introducing yourself and sharing with us a little more about your journey towards naturopathic medicine?
Of course. Hello, and thank you for having me. I'm super excited. Hi to everyone out there, friends, family, and people I don't know. So what got me started? Well, that's kind of a long story, but the Cliff's Notes. I'm 20 years old. And anxious, depressed, kind of going in all directions. And I decided to take a semester off of school. I'm in college, I do all my general education, and from there I'm kind of like lost. What do I major in? What do I do? So I take the semester off. I'm like, I'm just going to focus on work. And I happen to get an assistant administrator job at a natural healing clinic. So at that point, acupuncturists, herbalists, reflexologists, massage therapists, mind-body therapists are all working there. And I'm watching these patients come in and leave and just over time, just get better and better. And at the time they couldn't, it's a part-time job, I'm in college, and they couldn't extend me a benefits package. So they said, you know what, whenever you want treatment, it's on us. And I definitely capitalized. After seeing the changes in everyone else, I was like, okay, there must be magic in the water here. So I started to take them up on their offer and get treatments. And over the next 6 to 12 months, my anxiety significantly improved, depression improved, my relationship with food improved. I learned so much about herbs and supplements. I said, I have to do this. This is what I have to do. I don't know what exactly, but I know I have to look it up. So I used Dogpile at the time. That's how long ago this was. To Google doctor, natural medicine. And I found naturopathic medicine. It was just meant to be. So the very same day, I call my advisor and I say, I don't know what to major in. I don't care if it's liberal studies, let's just go. I need to get to med school. And I'm on hold what feels like 20 minutes. It's maybe like 30 seconds, and she comes back. She's like, actually, you have taken so many credits in psychology as your electives or extra classes that you can actually major in psychology and we can get you graduated in 18 months. So something that I thought was a major, pitfall in my life at the time, kind of hopeless. It's like the best things happen when you least expect them. And not only did I find my passion, but I found my major all in the same, 6 to 8 month period. And that's really when my passion with natural medicine started. And from there, it's just, school and private practice. I ended up selling my practice in 2019 to travel the world to really learn about natural medicine and herbs in other places. We have a lot of safeguards here in the States, and I wanted to see in other countries and cultures where it's a little bit more liberal, what is really working, you know? And I learned how to grow food and harvest food in an organic farm in Ireland, and learned all about supplements and EFTs and sleep patterns, doing research in Switzerland. I got my yoga teacher certificate and learned all about Reiki and Ayurveda in India. And it was one of the best things I could do for my life to really practically apply all of the things that I had seen in clinic and here in the States, but with the rest of the world. And then I got to learn as well. And so, you know, travel's cut short because of the pandemic. So I figured what better way to utilize the pandemic than get board certified in nutrition. So, you know, that was another stepping stone. And now I'm here today just sharing everything that I know and that I've learned with whoever will listen. So that's pretty much the cliff notes of it all.
No, that's so cool. I love that you have like such a global experience with it too. Like that must have been so amazing to travel.
I feel very, very lucky. Very lucky.
That's so cool. Awesome. Well, I have more questions to get into, but before we even do those, I do want to introduce everyone to two incredible detox supplements that we have from Middle World Herbs, which I have here with me. We have the Liver Detox and Uric Acid Detox. And I also have one free bottle of Liver Detox that we're going to give away to a winner of a trivia game. So stay tuned for that because I would love for you to win that. And be sure to hit the follow button if you haven't already. That will help us all stay connected. And I just want to thank everyone that has followed us so far. I see that a lot of you guys have followed us in the chat. So thank you to all our new followers too. And now on with the show. Today's theme is Cleanse and Detox. And we have a special focus and love for our kidney and liver health. With Dr. Jackie, I want to know with Cleanse and Detox, they're often used as these buzzwords. But what does it actually mean?
So they definitely are. It's a big deal in the alternative healthcare community for sure. And I think inherently when I asked a lot of people before doing, you know, this interview, what does it mean to you? A lot of people thought weight loss or, you know, not drinking alcohol or, oh, I can't have fast food. They, you know, were more about what I'm losing, you know, when we think about cleansing and detox, which is half of, you know, the battle, honestly. It's half of the equation. But I think more than anything, cleansing and detoxing is really something the body does every day anyway, right? We excrete every day, we urinate, we sweat, we have bowel movements. And so we're constantly excreting and detoxing anyway, because our body's looking to maintain balance or homeostasis, right? And what an actual conscious cleanse or conscious detox is a plan to really up the volume or level of that detox happening. And what does that mean? So when I explain detox, I have this analogy. I call it the cup analogy. Like everybody's born with a detox cup, you know, and when the cup runneth over, we start getting symptoms. We, you know, our joints hurt. It's harder to get up in the morning, brain fog, fatigue, headaches. All these things are happening because we're filling the cup up with toxicity faster than our body can empty the cup, right? And so what's happening in that process is disease is happening because it's overflowing. So what we're going to do during a detox is allow our body to stop filling the cup. Remove what are called, in naturopathic medicine, we have a tenet called remove the obstacles to the cure. What are causing the distress? Drinking, smoking, convenience foods, maybe meal skipping, not drinking enough water, you know, lack of stress management, lack of sound sleep. So all of these things are adding to our cup. You know, some people's cup, it's a thimble. If you or anyone you know walks into a room, smells cologne or perfume, and instantly gets a migraine, headache, or rash, your toxic load is small, right? You are exposed and then you get symptoms almost immediately. So your body really needs consistent support to empty its little cup. You know, and then we have all different size cups till we get to something like a big gulp. You know, if anyone's heard that old adage, he drank, you know, a fifth of gin and ate a steak a day, smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, and lived to be 100 on no medications. Well, how does that happen? Genetically, his cup is bigger. His or her or their ability to, you know, maintain with that toxic environment, the tolerance is higher. And we have cups of all different shapes and sizes in between. And it's about honoring the cup. It's about giving the body a chance to empty its cup out, to clear the waste, to catch up. with all of its back burner issues it has to handle. Because if we're focused on our daily stress, we're focused on our daily issues, it's like, we're putting out fires, but we're not addressing the bigger issues like tissue damage, like system damage, like things starting to fail or be maladaptive, aka not work as well. And so when we're detoxing, we're giving our body a chance to catch up to that back burner stuff. And that's how we can prevent long-term chronic illness. We can address acute illness this way. So detox, yes, it is removing toxic things, but it's also about supporting and adding things like supplements, herbs, and foods that will help the body along the process of finding its equilibrium again, its balance, that homeostatic point. So that's really what cleanse and detox means.
So if you're not getting like migraines or any brain fog, that type of thing, does that mean you have a big gulp size cup, or how would you know what size cup you're working with?
I think it's a couple of factors personally. If you look at your family and you have a pretty vital family, versus families that tend to have a litany of issues and chronic issues, because that's where our genetics come from. So we're kind of a multitude of things, but primarily our nature and our nurture. Our nature is our genetics, and our nurture is the environment in which our genetics express themselves, right? So environment also includes internal and external environment. What are we putting in and on our body? And so I think that there's a few different ways to be able to tell. Looking at family history is a good one. And then also just looking at your I guess health journey. Have you always had a tendency to migraines? And if not, and all of a sudden they're happening, it's like, well, why could this be happening? Maybe your cup runneth over, right? Skin rashes, joint pain, fatigue, brain fog, lethargy, irritability, mood swings. These are all signs that our body could be reaching its toxic load threshold and need a little bit of assistance and need a reset.
Okay, fascinating. I love that. And anyone else that has questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, because she can answer your questions as well. So I'll keep asking questions. If you have a question too, throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat. Okay, so my next question, Dr. Jackie, I'm wondering, is there a specific detox regimen which you tend to recommend to your patients? And if so, what is it?
I get asked that a lot. And I hate to take, the vague route, but unfortunately it really does depend. That's honestly the answer, because if I had a 28-year-old patient come into me, and all intents and purposes very healthy for their age, not overweight or obese, and, sleeping well, no issues. And then I have a 65-year-old, let's say, with multiple comorbidities or illnesses occurring, on multiple medications, they have severely different diets. They're going to require different support. They're going to remove different substances. And so it really is, especially in naturopathic medicine, and one of the reasons I'm so passionate about what I do is, yes, there are umbrella themes, right? We're going to remove the bad, support the good. But the way in which we do that is super unique to the individual. And every single detox plan, every plan I create is very unique to the individual, considering why they want to detox, what issues they have, health issues, how they eat, how they sleep, what they're currently taking. So I wish that there was a more specific answer, but I will say the whole goal in detox, regardless, is, like I said, take away the bad, add the good, and the good include things like something to help the liver process and produce bile, right? Maybe helping the colon, helping the kidney. These are the three biggest detoxification organs in the body. And so regardless of age or medical history, we want to support those organs, right? That's the most important thing. How we do that, though, it's different tools for different jobs.
Awesome. I got a question that came in from Palm, and it says, how long does it take to do a detox? Is there like a typical amount of time?
Great question. Yeah, and see, this is the thing that makes detox kind of vague, because there's not a hard and fast rule to detox. Some people do 24 to 48 hour fasts and report feeling significantly better. It depends on what we're detoxing from, because every substance has what's called a half-life, or the time it takes from the time we take it to the time it's out of our body, right? And tolerance is a factor. You know, somebody else my size, height can have a drink and not feel it, and I can almost immediately, right? So tolerance is key too. And that is also very different. So how long is it going to take the body to process what we're trying to get out of the body? Is it nicotine? Is it caffeine? You know, is it processed sugar, an addiction to sugar? Is it insulin sensitivity? Like, these are all things to consider. So a real effective detox, usually a minimum to me of 3 to 4 days and a maximum of 2 weeks, is usually what I like to see for detox. And then at that point, you're kind of through the woods, but you want to have a transition window. You don't want to go right back to your lifestyle pre-detox, right? You want to have some stepping stones there before really re-exposing yourself to all of those things, because that can actually be detrimental. Your tolerance for things that you got rid of are lower now because you're not toxic anymore. So you will feel one drink, or you might get nauseous from one cigarette, or that Big Mac might make you vomit, right? Because you're more sensitive now because your body isn't comfortable in its discomfort, if that makes sense. So I would say anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks is a pretty good detox, depending on you and your body. You know, and also your medical history, right? There are certain groups of people that shouldn't detox or should seek, you know, detox support from their physician. You know, if they have history of cancer, autoimmune disease, or pregnant or breastfeeding, you know, certain medications, things like that. So we really want to honor where that person is and make the detox specific to them and their biology.
Okay, I love that. Thank you. And then we have one more question, and Gwen is asking, can a detox help improve your response to external stressors? And if so, how? So can it help with external stress? So
great question. So the third piece to, I think, detoxing to me is we're not just going to physically detox, or we are always emotionally and mentally detoxing in a detox. Why do we choose convenience foods? Why do we choose alcohol? Why do we choose drugs or cigarettes, right? It's a self-coping mechanism we learned a long time ago that helped make it us less uncomfortable in our own skin for whatever reason, usually emotionally. So what ends up happening is we're going to these non-serving habits to distract from a feeling. So what happens when we remove the non-serving habits? The emotions come up that we did not want to deal with. And so I think inherently, when you are full to the brim of frustration, anger, annoyance, sadness, grief, stress, whatever it is, you are very reactionary, right? Somebody says, have a nice day, but not the way you wanted them to. Or, you know, somebody doesn't pick that up off the floor right away, or email you back right away, or the way they ask, as soon as they just open their mouth, you already have like a grimace, right? These are all ways that show us that our mental and emotional state might be a little heightened and might want or require a detox. So when we remove those substances, we allow those feelings to come up. Again, we're emptying the cup, not just the detox cup physically, but emotionally, the stuff that we've been carrying. And so now we have more space. We have more flexibility and freedom, and we're less reactionary. We're more responsive. We respond rather than react. And so external stimuli is happening. Our nervous system is calm. We're no longer waiting to the next hit of that dopamine from that burger or beer or person or, you know, habit. And so our ability to adapt to stress is significantly higher when we don't have codependency on instant gratifying substances. Definitely.
Okay, awesome. That was a good answer. Okay, I have 2 more questions that came in. We have T. Griffins asking, what do you recommend specifically for brain fog?
So brain fog to me is a sign of like a few different things, usually related to fatty liver or liver issues, as well as potentially constipation or the slow emptying of the bowel. And to me, brain fog is the blood oxygen level to the brain and the nutrients riding the wave that is the blood flow, right? Because that's how nutrition moves. The blood is the highway of the body. So toxins and hormones and neurotransmitters and, you know, nutrients and all these things are moving on the blood. And so if we're not moving our body, if we're not getting blood flow to the brain, if we're not breathing well enough, we keep shallow breath, we have a desk job, or we stay closed, very shallow breathing, we're not going to oxygenate the blood. right? Which means the quality of the blood getting to the brain is lower. If we're not eating whole foods that have nutrients that help, the brain. These are all different factors that add to brain fog. So to be able to say what would help brain fog, it's usually not a single pill or substance. It's a combination of things depending on the cause of the brain fog. Because 10 of us listening today could have brain fog, but the cause of the brain fog is going to be unique to each individual. Maybe one it's food, maybe one it's constipation, maybe, one is brain trauma. Maybe one is alcohol abuse for 20 years and now they're cleaning up and they're realizing, wow, like I've really done some damage here. So I have to understand the causative action that's leading to the brain fog to understand how to resolve the brain fog. But the most powerful and fundamental things we can do are food and water. Fiber to move things out, high nutrient dense food, and water to clear us out as well. Right? Because if we're toxic, how do toxins leave the body? Usually sweat, feces, and urine. So we need to keep those systems moving, and they move with fiber and water and nutrition, as well as exercise.
And sleep.
Well, yeah, of course,
Awesome.
of course.
Yeah. I can think of the times I've had brain fog, and it's usually like when I have a newborn or,
When you're exhausted. Yeah,
exhausted,
yeah.
and not drinking enough water and eating. Yeah, it all goes hand in hand.
And what's preventing the
another
sleep?
question from Ab.
Oh,
yeah. So Abby was asking, she has a two-parter. Will I become deficient in vitamins and minerals if I follow a detox? And I have a feeling we have an answer for you. And then also, how often should I detox is what Abby's asking.
Great
so
question.
Would she become deficient in vitamins and minerals, and how often?
Okay. So chances are you will actually be able to absorb better and more efficiently post detox. So the detox, if anything, you're becoming deficient in, it's the toxins and catecholamines and all the stuff that we're dumping in our body, which is what we want. But in terms of important nutrients, for all intents and purposes, if it's done well and supported with good supplements and good herbs and good foods, I don't think a detox should ever be a water fast. Detoxing shouldn't be fasting, maybe the first 12 to 24 hours, but after that, it really is about supporting the body in its endeavors. So juices, smoothies, supplements, herbs, teas, these are all ways to give the body back what it's using a lot of to detox, because our body does utilize a lot of nutrients to detox, so we need to replenish them, right? So no, you will not become deficient if you do a detox right. And in terms of how often, it depends on how hard you live, to be honest. And what I mean by that is, how much are you in the sun? How is your diet? How is your sleep? How is your stress, right? Multiple variables. So if you live very fast and very hard, you're on the sun all the time, you're working really hard, you drink a lot, you smoke a lot, you're, not eating nutrient dense foods often, you probably want to detox every quarter, 3 to 4 months would probably be really good for you. Now, if you're, you don't have any previous medical issues, you're not taking lots of medications, you live a relatively clean, lifestyle, maybe once a year, twice a year, depending on how your body feels. And the value of a detox to me is the more I did it, the more in tune I became with my body, and the more I recognized the signs and symptoms of, oh my gosh, this is what happened last time, and then I detoxed and I felt better. So for me, it's been about a year, and I can tell. I'm getting like sluggish and my mornings aren't as easy. My body doesn't move as easy. So I know it's time. But yeah, I shoot for about once or twice a year personally, but it's really dependent on the person.
Okay, awesome. Good answers. All right, keep them coming, guys. I want to know which herbs help with detoxification. And before we even get into that, though, is there a way to know if a detox is working? So is there something that we should be feeling when we're on it? Yeah,
you should feel like crap. You should feel like absolute crap, especially the first 3 days. I told people in my life I was doing a detox, and mine starts next week. And I kind of playfully, jokingly was like, I apologize in advance. Like I really do.
Yes.
And
I do the same thing if I do a detox. I tell my husband,
mm-hmm.
and I put it in his calendar so he knows, he's warned.
That's great. And see, I think that's really important, because that actually builds a support system. You have an accountability buddy. Hey, how are you doing? Someone to check in. People in your life who know what's happening, right? But, what does feeling like crap mean? It's all unique to the person, but what we tend to see are skin things, rashes, itchiness, dry skin. When the liver is dumping and doing its thing and really focused on detoxing, sometimes stuff will come out through our skin instead. You can get lightheadedness or migraines, headaches. Those are all signs as well, especially when you're detoxing from things like alcohol, drugs, and caffeine. If anybody here has caffeine every morning and you skip a day, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As soon as you get that caffeine headache, that's a sign your body's detoxing, right? Changes in bowel movements, right? We're constipated. Now you have diarrhea. Maybe you had diarrhea. Now you're a little constipated. Stuff's moving. Stuff's changing, right? Stuff's trying to get up and out of us. Darker or oddly smelled urine, honestly, because again, we're dumping out toxins. And that also means drink more water if you can. But all of these physical things are what in naturopathic medicine is called exonerative discharge. It means something's going to get worse before it gets substantially better. Okay, and those are just physical signs. We can also get, like I was mentioning before, the mental emotional signs. So if you're irritable, if you're anxious, if you feel sad or depressed, if anger comes up, if all of these feelings are totally okay and totally normal. It's like you're emotionally excreting, you're emotionally urinating, or having an emotional bowel movement is what I tell my patients. It's like, imagine if you didn't excrete physically for a few days or a few weeks or a few months. That's what can happen to our body when we don't excrete our feelings, right? Our emotions, things that are trapped in our body that we didn't have a chance to process. So those are the things that I would look at if you were detoxing. Really be prepared to be patient with yourself, to be compassionate with yourself, and to be in some discomfort.
Yeah, and like you said, to know it might get worse before it gets better. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, but it will get better.
It will. Good. All right, for more on the topic of toxins, free radicals, and detox, I do want to introduce you guys to the Middle World Liver Detox. This is what the supplement looks like. You're going to get 60 veggie capsules with a recommended use of 3 capsules a day. This formula has milk thistle, artichoke leaf, dandelion leaf, and solar plast, which is an antioxidant-rich spinach leaf extract. It also has a blend of digestive enzymes to help the liver break fats. It is $20.99 on Amazon, and you get to take additional 20% off during the only. So definitely make sure you are taking advantage. And then how about for free? Does anyone want one for free? Because I would love to gift you a free liver detox to one winner. All you have to do is answer trivia question. The very first person to correctly answer in the comment section is going to win. So get your fingers. Are you ready? Okay, here's our question. Free radicals are the product of toxin breakdown. True or false? You have a 50-50 chance. Free radicals are the product of toxin breakdown. True or false? And whoever answers this correctly first is going to get a free bottle of liver detox valued at $20.99. So put your answers in the chat right now. Take a guess, true or false, and we'll pick a fun winner. Someone's going to win something.
Oh, ooh. We got a 3-way tie.
Well,
who came in
the
first?
Person. So our
who came in first?
Yep, Gwen came in first. So Gwen, you are our big winner. All right, Dr. Jackie, explain why that is.
Why? What?
Why it's true.
Why it's true? Okay. So essentially, the way that I think of free radicals, I'm really big into analogies and stories to help me anchor new information. So bear with me, everyone. But essentially, free radicals happen just by normal metabolism, right? Metabolism is just the balance of breaking stuff down and building stuff up all at the same time, right? So utilizing food as energy for, energy to go work out or something. Like we're breaking down calories, we're breaking down macronutrients to build up tissue like our muscles or our heart or things like that, right? And so it's constantly happening anyway. free radicals are just a part of our biology. But what happens when we are in the sun a lot, when we are exposed to carcinogens, like cancer-causing things like tobacco smoke, petroleum, some viruses even, our body reacts by creating even more free radicals, right? So it's used to kind of the day-to-day free radicals, but now if we're adding insult to injury, we're creating more free radicals. And what a free radical is molecules love to be coupled. They like to have their electron shell happy, right? So I think of it as two electrons in the shell and they're happy and they're coupled up. It's like when you're at a party and you see all the couples, right? And then the like cynical single person in the corner just like hating life. That's a free radical. He's only got one little electron and he needs another one. But instead of just like asking around like, hey, how about you? Hey, how about you? He's trying to like demand and steal them from all these other healthy cells. Free radicals are very damaging, especially to DNA, right? And so they're bouncing around and they're wreaking all this havoc because they're unhappy. They're not balanced, right? And so how do we address this? How do we keep these from damaging DNA, damaging the cell layers to prevent things from getting in and out of the cell, which can cause cell death? What happens? What do we do? Well, antioxidants are very full. They're very happy and they have so much love to give. So the more antioxidants we take in, they're going to share their electrons with these really cynical, upset free radicals. And then the free radicals will be a neutralized or happy molecule again. And so we're taking something very angry and damaging and we're neutralizing it with antioxidants. And that's why, if, for those of you listening, if you've heard eat a diet high in antioxidants, we don't really understand why free radicals cause oxidative stress or damage, and antioxidants, it's spelled right in the name, antioxidants, fight that oxidative stress by balancing out the molecule and making, a happy coupled, neutralized, normal, full electron shell of a molecule. So, they're no longer interested in causing damage.
Okay, awesome. I love that analogy. That was so good.
It's a weird story.
All right, let's learn more. Okay,
but
so
it's how I
liver,
remember.
I think that's good. I'm like imagining the dinner party. I love it. The liver is such an amazing organ. So if there was just anything that you wish your patients knew more about the liver, what would that be? Any cool facts or misconceptions or anything like that?
Yeah, totally. I think we undervalue it. I think a lot of people focus on the brain and the heart and as major organs, and they're very important, but we couldn't live without our liver. You can get a lobe removed or biopsy or it damaged and it can regrow itself, and that's great. It's like the starfish of the body in that sense, but we can't live without it. It does so many things. It's what I consider a one-stop shop, right? It stores things, it makes stuff, it processes stuff. So what I think would really empower people listening is understanding how the liver functions. So it's sitting right here on the right side under the rib cage. It's about 1.5 kilograms, right? Working 24 hours a day. We don't have to tell it what to do. It just shows up to work and does its job. It's actually the heaviest organ in the body. But it's getting blood from both the hepatic artery from the heart, oxygenated blood, and then from the portal vein from the intestines, right? Where all of our absorption is taking place. So it's getting nutrients and it's getting oxygen, but it's also getting, because again, blood is the highway of the body. What rides the highway of the body? Everything, good, bad, and indifferent. So it's getting oxygen and nutrients, but it's also getting toxins. It's also getting broken down byproducts or metabolites of things. And its job is to take a look at literally everything coming through its doors and say, do I store you? Do I turn you into something else? Do I neutralize you because you're a toxin? How do I deal with you? And it's doing all of this constantly, making our sex hormones, utilizing cholesterol properly, creating vitamin D, breaking down these toxins to send out through the body. And, a lot of that is bile. So for those of you who, again, aren't really familiar with the liver produces bile, and it's stored in the gallbladder and then released into the intestines when we eat fatty foods to help break down fats and things like that. But bile also helps get rid of toxins through the colon, And that's why colon or having bowel movements and things like that are so important, because the liver and the colon are inherently linked through bile and through digestion. So I think, to me, I nerd out on this stuff because I think we're like walking universes. But to me, the liver is so powerful because of how many things it does. It doesn't have a singular job. It is like constantly working in 6 different directions all the time with no break. Like, it deserves a detox, guys. So that's, I think, probably some of the biggest superpowers of the liver.
That's awesome. That is such good info. Everyone's saying they love your analogies and how you explain things. So good job.
Thanks, guys.
And I also want to share another really cool story, just a little bit more about the Middle World Supplement bottle. So every single time you purchase a bottle from us, a tree is going to be planted through the organization One Tree Planted, which I think is incredible. And also, you might be wondering about that little thing attached to the bottle. There's this little charm on it. We call it a Middle World Whisper, and it's a handmade, really sweet charm with a positive thought, affirmation, or inspiration. So every single time you buy a Middle World supplement, you're going to get a different whisper. So this one on My Liver Detox says, "Today is a good day for a good day." So they have these really cool sayings on them. They're great to collect too. After you're done with the bottle, you don't have to throw them out. You can keep it, attach it to your keychain, add it to a bracelet, tie it on a gift for someone you love, or you can just keep it around your house for a mindfulness practice and me time moment. So I really love that about the packaging. Also, Dr. Jackie, that reminds me, on one of the Middle World Whispers, it says, "Listening to your body's whispers avoids hearing its screams." And are there any whispers or subtle warning signs that perhaps the liver might be sending us?
That is a great statement. I love it. I remember actually sharing that with Eva when we first spoke. She is the owner and operator of this wonderful supplement company. And we were kind of just having a rapport about it. And she's like, "That's interesting. So what do we mean by body whispers versus body screams, right?" So our body is constantly seeking balance or homeostasis. And when we're out of balance or it needs something, it finds creative ways to ask. Some of those things we know how to listen to, and some of them we don't. For instance, "I'm hungry, I need energy." We get hunger pangs. Well, what's the solution or translation to us? Eat some food, right? Maybe a signal is, "I can't focus on my work. My eyes aren't working. My brain is not able to process this information." What does that mean? Or how have we maybe learned to translate that? "Oh, I'm tired. Maybe I go to sleep a little earlier tonight or sleep in a little later tomorrow morning," right? So we're constantly creating this balance of our body asking for things and us giving them those things. So I'm sure we can all admit to our body asking us for something, that one achy shoulder, or that bad habit I have when I'm stressed out, that I drink too much or eat too much. These things that we are doing to our body to cause it discomfort, and it's asking for our help, but we're ignoring it. And just like any one of us, if we aren't paid attention to and we ask nicely, what do we do sometimes? We might get louder, more forceful about it. And like, "Hey, listen to me. I need your attention." And that's when the body screams. And that's in the form of, "I can't get out of bed in the morning. Now my achy shoulder means I literally can't move it," right? And now that rash or eczema that was kind of annoying that I would hide or pretend wasn't there, I'm not changing my diet or lifestyle, well, now it's everywhere. And I physically can't go anywhere or put clothes on. It hurts to put clothes on my skin. So those are screams, right? But the body is asking us for days and months and years before those things manifest. And so some whispers we might notice from our liver include a handful of things. One of the bigger things is if you have a yellowing to your skin or to the whites of your eyes, that can be a sign of something called jaundice. And that's a big problem. And signs that the liver isn't working properly. Also central swelling, discomfort, nausea, vomiting even, severe change in appetite, like a major loss in appetite, excess alcohol, and not being major hangovers the next day. These are all signs that the body is whispering to you, "Hey, I need a little help in the liver. Can you help me out?" And so we want to really prevent those screams. And those screams are things like cirrhosis of the liver, liver failure, fatty liver. You know, we can also have autoimmune liver, where our own immune system thinks that our liver is a pathogen, you know, or a bacteria, and or something like that, you know, and starts attacking it. And so we want to avoid the screams. We want to avoid the disease state. And we want to really zoom our ears in, turn the volume up on those whispers, and then learn how to translate them. What's my body saying, and how can I serve it for its highest good? That to me is the whisper scream, and why it's so important. I think it's one of the major tenets I use to help with my patients and clients, because I think we're kind of taught to just like work hard, ignore your body, ignore your needs, ignore your feelings, and money, power, status, house, car, kids, you know, whatever it is. It's like a cultural thing. And I know not everyone here, it's not a blanket statement, and some people are genuinely fulfilled by that. And that's great. But if that kind of external pressure is getting to you and preventing you from tapping into yourself, you're living out there and not in here, those messages get diluted. And then those are the types of cases in clients and patients I most often see, where it's like, crap, I got to deal with the screams because my screams have stopped me in my tracks and I'm sick and tired of it. And then we address the screams, and then I help them translate what the whispers are, how they can connect to their body and, you know, give their body what it needs. And then, you know, they have their own dialogue and conversation with their body, which I think is one of the most empowering things we can offer.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, those of you who are just joining us, we do have Dr. Jackie Leone with us today. She's the doctor of naturopathic medicine, and she's board certified as a holistic nutritionist, and she's here to answer all your questions. So please ask away. And I do see one more that came in from Palm, who says, how do I figure out the best way or supplement to use for my personal detox? So that seems a little vague, but do you think you can answer that?
Yeah, I mean, it is a little vague, but I think and again, I hate to not have like a more laser focused answer, but I would just talk to your local herbalist, your local nutritionist, or your local naturopath, somebody who's very well versed in detox and can really get to know your body and your body's needs. Because there's a lot of products out there that promise things and can't really deliver, whether it's quality control, lack of research, you know, whatever. There's a multitude of things. So I would definitely go to somebody who knows what they're doing, who has tried lots of different protocols and knows detox very, very well. I think that's probably the best way. You're going to spend a little time, money, and energy to get that information, but it makes the detox 10 times more effective. And once you do it once, you can repeat that same detox if you found it really effective, and then you have an extra tool in your toolbox.
That's awesome. All right, keep the questions coming, guys. And for those of us who may be seeing the first signs of a slow functioning liver, what lifestyle changes and plant medicines should we be considering?
Okay. I think the biggest with the lifestyle is going to be just, you know, really removing things that insult the liver. Don't, you know, drink in excess. Moderation is fine. Just give the body time to clear it. You know, don't piggyback drinking on drinking on drinking, or drinking all day every day. You know, these really degrade the liver and its functioning. Not only alcohol, but if you are taking drugs recreationally and your body doesn't need those drugs, the way your liver metabolizes those drugs can be pretty problematic, especially if your body doesn't necessarily need them. And so don't take medications unless you actually have to. And if you do have to take a medication, which is fine, just make sure you're taking the lowest possible effective dose. You know, I've had patients walk in on 2-3 times the dose, and we titrate them down, and they actually needed like a third of what they were taking, which lightens the load on the liver substantially. Also, just movement, exercise, blood flow is so important. I know people are like, oh, I got to move my body, but like just walk around the block for 20 or 30 minutes is better than nothing. You know, standing in your living room to watch your favorite TV show is better than sitting while you're watching it. These little things can have a big impact over time. And so, you know, outside of that, I think different substances, I mean, it really just depends. There's so many herbs out there and so many wonderful, amazing supplements. But I think when I think of liver, and I think of herbs or natural substances, the first one that comes to mind is milk thistle. We've all heard of it, or most of us have heard of it. And the reason why milk thistle is so effective is because it's one of the only herbs that are both hepato means liver, by the way. So when I say hepato, that's what I'm referring to, something that has to do with the liver. So they're hepatoprotective, liver protective, and hepatorestorative, or restoring the liver, right? So milk thistle actually is one of the only herbs, believe it or not, has been shown to actually regenerate injured liver cells or hepatocytes, which is pretty amazing. It's kind of like magic. For some reason, some herbs just have a constituent in them that is laser focused on that one type of cell in that one organ system. And milk thistle to me is that for the liver. It's just, they go hand in hand. They work together very, very well. So milk thistle for sure because of that. It's just going to regenerate and help with cell turnover. Now, that's the actual structure or anatomy, right, of the liver. When I think of the physiology of the liver or how it works, what's going on inside of it, not just what it's composed of, but what's going in and out of it, obviously I think of bile. And so when I think of bile, that makes me think of things like artichoke and dandelion, because we have a couple of herbs that not only make more bile, so the liver can dump more toxins, but it actually stimulates the gallbladder, the liver, and all of the connecting tubes, if you will, like ducts and things like that, that carry the bile. So we're making more bile, we're excreting more bile, all the tubes are getting cleaned out. You know, it's like turning on the sink after not turning it on for a while. Like, you know, you might kick some stuff out first, and then it's smooth running from there. And dandelion is fantastic for that. Artichoke is fantastic for that. So artichoke more like stimulates the bile production, where dandelion is actually both a choleretic and cholagogue. Chol means gallbladder, but cholagogue makes more and choleretic moves more, right? And so we have these amazing powers of these herbs, and when we mix them together, we get a very powerful combination, whether it's a tincture, a capsule. If you want to make your own tea with whole herbs, just getting them in the body and delivered to the liver is going to help substantially in the detox. So again, we have milk thistle, hepatoprotective and restorative. We're going to regenerate those cells. We have artichoke, which is going to make more bile to flush the liver out. And then we have dandelion, which is not only going to make more, but also release more. Okay. And so we're going to have more bile in the stool, but that's what we want. We're going to have bowel movements that are a little bit different, but that's what we want, because that shows us that the detox is working and the herbs are working. So those are my three favorites.
Okay, awesome. I love that idea of having it in a tea, or I'm looking at the back of this, and this has the artichoke, dandelion, and milk thistle. So many different ways you can get it in your system, but those are really good. I love that. We did have another question come in from Abby. How important would it be to do a mental detox to go with a physical detox?
Ooh, well, the mental is going to follow the physical, mind, body. Again, two sides of the same coin. We cannot shut one off or affect one without affecting the other. But I do think that a mental detox, if you're going to be doing a physical detox of removing foods and drinks and fluids and things that are toxic or insulting to the body, I personally plan on doing like a mental emotional detox as well. So like no social media, no interacting with people that could be potential triggers or toxic relationships, lots of self-reflection and journaling, lots of reading and downtime, meditation if you can. When we rest and we go inward, that's when our body can take the substances, the good stuff we're giving it, and do its most effective work. It's going to be more productive and efficient. So yes, 100%. I highly recommend a mental emotional detox at the same time, because that's going to happen anyway. But if we can be more intentional about it and we can have parameters around it so that we recognize, hey, you know, I have to mentally prepare that the things that I'm getting dopamine from every day are going to be gone, and I'm going to have to nurture that part of me that I'm distracting using that. So, you know, yes, I'm a big fan. I think having my background in psych and things like that, big fan of the mental emotional detox as well. Really good question.
Yeah, no, that's a really good answer too, to do it at the same time for like that double, kind of like a double whammy. I love that. Okay, well, let's move from the liver. Oh, sorry, what?
Okay. Oh, I was just going
What
to
were you
say,
saying?
if it's too much, or if it's your first time, you can choose one or the other, right? You can do a mental emotional detox if and then do physical a month from now or 2 months from now. Like if you need to go slow and steady, I don't want anyone here to hurt themselves and like, oh, I'm just going to rip the band-aid off, because you can actually make yourself more ill if you do too much, too hard, too fast. So again, we want to be compassionate and gentle and patient if we're going to detox. Maybe you can only remove cigarettes and you still need, want to drink and eat convenience foods, or maybe you can remove everything at once. I really want, one of my biggest messages here today for everyone listening is to really honor who you are and where you are. And that will change over time. And that's great. Just make sure you're checking in regularly so that you can recognize who you are and where you are, and you can meet yourself with supportive substances and supportive relationships to help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, and one question I actually have for you that just came up. So with the milk thistle, artichoke, and dandelion and the ingredients in here, is it only for when you're detoxing, or is it something that you could have like every day?
Oh, the really great question. And this makes me want to explain what's called therapeutic dose and maintenance dose. So the short answer is yes, you can have it every day. The long answer is you need to change the dosage and concentration, right? So we have a therapeutic window of every substance, every vitamin, every mineral, water, food, calories, medication, you name it, there's a therapeutic window. You don't take enough, nothing's going to happen. You take too much, you make yourself sick. So what's the sweet spot? All right. And the sweet spot for a therapeutic dose or acute dose because of a detox is going to be higher, where a maintenance dose is going to be a little bit over every day versus hitting it really hard for 3 to 14 days. And so a therapeutic dose of all of these herbs or any additional supplements or anything your doctor or your herbalist puts you on is great acutely, 3 to 14 days. And then back off and maintain with a maintenance dose, right? It's like going to the gym or something. You're going to work out a ton more at first, you get the results you want, and then you just go 3 days a week, 2 days a week to maintain, right? It's the same thing with anything we're putting in our body.
Totally. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to move from the liver to the kidney. We only have about 8 minutes left, so we'll kind of briefly touch on the next one. So let's talk a little bit about kidneys, because they rarely get our attention, but they are very busy quietly working behind the scenes, doing the mundane cleaning for us every single day. And we don't really think about our kidneys a lot, or even ever think about measuring our uric acid levels. So I have with me here the Middle World Uric Acid Detox. This has tart cherry and pomegranate. The formula also includes other herbs like chanca, pedra, celery seed extract, green coffee extract, milk thistle again, cranberry, arnia, yucca extract, devil's claw, and turmeric. It is 60 veggie capsules with the suggested dosage of 2 capsules a day, and it's available for $15.99 on Amazon. But because you guys are watching this live, you get a bonus 20% off when you purchase it during this live. So Dr. Jackie, could you please tell us a little more about the common habits that might damage our kidneys? And then what happens when our kidneys are overstrained?
Definitely. Okay, so basically to understand what damages a kidney, I think you have to understand what a kidney does. It just filters the blood. So the heart pumps a lot of blood to the kidney's filtering it, it's sending the stuff we don't need out, and it's saving the stuff we need and putting it back into circulation, okay? So if the kidney is taxed over time, it works very, very, very hard, and then one day it just gives up and it stops working, and that's kidney failure. So things like NSAIDs, right? Aspirin, for those of you who take an aspirin all the time, or if you're taking Motrin, Advil, naproxen, any of these things every day, oh yeah, I take 600 milligrams a day every day because my joints hurt. That's a whisper, that's managing a symptom, and that's hurting your kidneys. Because what it does is it lowers the GFR, which is like the filtration rate of the kidney. So the kidney just works slower and less efficiently. So please don't use NSAIDs chronically, right? Once in a while you have a headache or backache, something happens, that's fine. But chronically, it's that everyday use that really damages the kidney, right? The second thing is high salt intake. We've all heard it. But essentially our body needs like a certain osmolarity, right? Which means water mixed with salt. We go to the ocean osmolarity, we're too salty, right? We go to tap water, we're not salty enough. We need that middle ground. So the more salt we're adding to the water, our body wants to retain that water in order to keep that osmolarity or that mixture the way that we need it to be. So increasing salt means we keep the water, we're not flushing the kidneys, our blood pressure increases because our heart's like, oh shit, the kidney's not working right. I need to get more blood there. So it increases its contractility, it's pressurized, it changes how it's working. And that's why we often see kidney and heart stuff together, right? And so we really want to avoid people eating high salt because that's definitely over time one of the most impactful ways to hurt the kidneys. Low water intake, of course, the less water you have, the less you're able to filter. And I think one of the biggest things that people don't recognize is meat, actually, animal products. By meat, I mean red meat. So actually, the American Society of Nephrology did a study recently where they followed 60,000 people for 15 years and measured things like sleep, exercise, food intake, all those things. And they found that a certain population developed severe kidney failure. And when they looked at what one of the biggest causes that pointed to it was, people were 40% more likely to develop kidney failure if they ate more red meat 3 to 5 times a week. So eating red meat, when we break red meat down, it makes us very acidic. And the kidneys are responsible for clearing acid. So if we're just constantly like fire hosing the kidney with acid, it's not going to be able to keep up. The acid has to go somewhere, and we get acidosis, and we can get very sick from that, and the kidneys can actually start failing because of that. Okay, so we definitely want to, if we can, limit our red meat intake. So drink lots of water, low red meat, low salt, also low sugar. Low sugar, really high blood sugar over time can narrow blood vessels. And how is blood supposed to get to the kidney? Like, the blood flow is only as good as the vessel it's being carried in, right? So really narrow vessels isn't really going to help the kidney very much. So, balanced diet, things in moderation. And if you notice things going haywire or getting too far out of, that middle ground, just kind of correct, and you should be fine. Because the body, again, it always wants to have that homeostasis. And then when they're overstrained, kidney damage happens. They're not filtering things. We feel toxic because stuff is recirculating and not going out. Kidney failure can happen. Kidney stones can happen. A buildup of uric acid can happen. I mean, uric acid, the uric acid detox is one of the best supplements. Eva was telling me that you guys sell because of how effective it is. So, but I don't think a lot of people know about uric acid. Uric acid in the kidneys, when we eat things that have this substance called purine. So brewer's yeast is the highest. So if you drink a lot of beer, liver and other organ meats, certain seafoods, they're really high in these things called purines. And our body can break down purines fine up to a certain threshold. But if we have too much, every time we break down a purine, the outcome is uric acid. And our body can clear uric acid. But what happens when it gets too high, too much uric acid, we start forming urate crystals. And urate crystals love to hide in joints, especially the big toe. So what happens? We end up getting gout, right? For anybody here who has it or knows someone who has had it, it's very painful. You can also get arthritis because these crystals are taking up space in joints where crystals shouldn't be. Crystals are really like jagged, angry shaped things, right? So when they deposit, they're going to cause a lot of damage in the area that they're being deposited in. So we really want to support the kidney's ability to clear the acid, especially uric acid, and to clear any and all toxins that, we're just exposed to every day. So I was trying to fill it in as much as I could with all as much info in a short period of time. I just nerd out and I love talking about all this stuff.
No, that's super cool. I love it. What about a small dose of aspirin for heart condition is what Chris is asking.
Yeah, I mean, baby aspirin is fine because you're not taking a massive dose, and it's more to keep the blood thin to prevent things like, heart attack and stroke. But if you have a viscosity issue to your blood, I feel like, again, that's managing a symptom. There are other ways to create changes in viscosity of blood to help the integrity of the blood. There are other substances that are more long-term and even preventative or curative versus addressing a symptom. So I personally don't think, unless, again, it's absolutely medically necessary, a lot of the stuff that we've been primed to think is totally normal, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, taking a baby aspirin, all these things are very, very preventative and manageable with the right, substances and lifestyle stuff. So if you're on an aspirin, no judgment, but if you're willing to want to get off of that or want to consider other things, take a step back and look holistically at, other ways that we can enhance health, right? Besides depending on a medication.
Awesome. Well, let's do one final question that I have, and then we'll wrap up because we're at our hour mark. So the Middle World Uric Acid Detox, this one right here, has tart cherry and pomegranate, which are some of the most powerful plant medicines, as well as B6 in each capsule. So what I want to know is why those, like what's helping with those particular powerful plant medicines and the B6?
Awesome. Good question. So phytonutrients, phyto means just plant. So phytonutrients are in all plants, and different ones give different colors and textures and tastes. And the most powerful thing that tart cherry and pomegranate have in common is something called anthocyanin, right? Say that 10 times fast. Anthocyanins are a phytochemical or a chemical in plants that give it its red, purple, and blue color. And so when we think of things that are going to help the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney, which are both kind of inherently linked, we think of nice bright red fruit. Like berries, cherry, the tart cherry specifically, and pomegranate. Now, tart cherry specifically is because it's anthocyanin and antioxidant, or vitamin C, because vitamin C is an antioxidant. The levels in saturation per weight is just substantially higher than any other food. And so what that specific anthocyanin does is help clear uric acid. And so people taking, I've read a ton of studies, people taking tart cherry having significant increases in gout and joint pain within days or weeks. It's one of them, again, it's like milk thistle being specific to the liver, tart cherry is specific to uric acid for sure. And then pomegranate is just a great, supporting role to the tart cherry.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, that's going on right now. We have it at $15.99, but you also get an additional 20% off. So definitely grab some of those. Joy H says she misses you. Good to be able to hear you teach again. That's awesome. But yeah, I want to thank you as well for coming on the show. You've been like a wealth of knowledge, and I can't wait. We're going to be doing this every Friday, so we get to hang out a lot. We'll have lots of questions, and you guys can always come with your questions as well and get them answered. So today we were talking about liver and kidney detox and cleansing, and I hope you guys got a lot out of it. I hope you follow us as well if you didn't already. And if you did follow us, thank you. You can also connect with us on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. Just find at Middle World Herbs, and we will see you soon. Dr. Jackie, do you want to say goodbye?
Yes, thank you so much, everyone who came. I so appreciate your energy and support and your great questions. I hope I get to see you in future Q&As. I'm always here to help, and I just send so much love and good vibes your way. So thank you.
Yay. All right. Goodbye, everyone. We will see you next time.
Thanks, Deanne. Thanks, James.
Hear the whispers from within, balance to restore, ailings to relieve. Feel the nature keeping us, nature healing us, flowers, leaves, and roots within. Hear the mind calming you, soothing you, love and kindness inside out. Let the herbs from Middle World heal. Welcome wellness, welcome wellness. It's revealed herbs, Middle World Herbs.